Spokesperson Daniel Goldstuck, thank you very much for your time this morning. So can you give us clarity which elements have been left open to interpretation so far?
Good morning, Annie, and good morning to your listeners and your viewers. Thank you very much for the opportunity to engage with the association. Just to reiterate that we very much welcome this license amendment. It allows much more megawatts of clean, cheaper, more affordable generation on the electricity grid. Elements that require further clarity are how storage would be dealt with. This new amendment includes provision of systems that may or may not include storage. So the provisions of would a reseller include storage when they are on-selling power from a distributor to their customers? The tariff is required to be lower than what the end-use customer would receive otherwise. So how this plays out in reseller models going forward needs to be evaluated. And also whether or not municipalities are included in the classification of end-use customers, that municipalities can buy from these new large independent power producers that will now be able to have a faster process to connect to the grid.
If we look at policy implementation broadly in South Africa, we know that policy is great, but implementation thereof often is very lacking. This is a new field. Independent energy power producers, we're still having to find our feet very much. What are you looking forward to or wary of as we get to a stage of implementation?
It's an excellent question. I think the framework around energy or stakeholder access to the grid does exist. There's a robust framework for technical standards, regulatory codes, and then now this piece of legislation, this act. What we're wary of is how different stakeholders, particularly distributors, enable access to their network. There is a clear process that a person wanting to connect a system to the grid can follow. That is largely managed by the distributor, and then it is a question of whether or not a municipality and a distributor, municipalities being distributors, have the capacity and the expertise to facilitate this access to the network. But by and large, the regulations do exist. So we should be able to see these megawatts coming online quite quickly.
When you say quite quickly, how long do you think it's likely to be before South Africans have workable alternatives to purely getting their energy from Eskom?
So the question is more in terms of, or the lens should be more in terms of scale. We're now talking about large projects, 100 megawatts, up to 100 megawatts, that could now have a significant impact on the network, a significant impact on the price of electricity. If you have customers buying their own electricity, Eskom is able to on-sell electricity to other network participants at a cheaper rate. So the timelines for large projects, there are permits that are required. There are environmental authorizations. A lot of these already exist. Companies have been permitting sites in anticipation of being able to install large-scale renewable energy projects. However, the lack of clarity around whether they'll be able to obtain a license or not has stalled a lot of these processes, a lot of these activities. So now customers or potential customers and participants can move forward in their plans, and you would probably see new energy on the grid anywhere between 3 to 12 months, depending on the size and depending on the scale.
South Africans definitely looking forward to a more stable energy grid. Thank you very much. South African Photovoltaic Industry Association spokesperson Daniel Goldstuck speaking.